Thank you very much. Thank you. And welcome to Cats and Dogs here on Press TV with me, Lembit Öpik. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to discuss the biggest threat to global peace and security. Not a pandemic, not a cosmic threat, not global warming. I'm talking about something far more evil than any of these. Iran! It's a big statement caused by a big debt, but not one owed by Iran. I'm talking about debts owed to Iran. If the 193 countries in the world have to repay what they actually owe that nation, there'll be an international crisis. They owe tons of money, food, assets, and a whole lot of other stuff to that country. And if they do pay it off all at once, the world will have one of history's biggest financial problems ever. The United States, the United Kingdom, Japan, China, India, Luxembourg, the United Arab Emirates, Iraq and Canada, they're among the countries that owe the Islamic Republic so much cash and so many goods. No wonder they keep telling everyone how much they don't like Iran. That's what people say about their bank manager. Oh yes, and there's South Korea, a country that's blocked Iran's $7 billion. Correction, $8 billion and counting. The Korean authorities say that they're negotiating to unlock Iran's frozen assets. But the thing is, the Koreans put these frozen assets in the freezer in the first place. No wonder world leaders are so interested in keeping Iran away from anyone they know. That's what you do when you owe money to someone and you don't want them to tell anyone about it. You can imagine the chat at the party. Hey, South Korea, America, I've just been talking to Iran over there who says you owe them loads of money. Really? You don't want to listen to Iran? He's crazy. Some predict representing the West in negotiations with Iran will become a super high-paid job. The only problem is, you'll never get paid. Apparently the Koreans say that they're figuring out a mechanism for releasing Iran's money. Is this the way normal people do business? Hey, thanks for sending me all that stuff I bought from you. Now, I've been thinking about the money I owe you, and well, I've decided not to pay it because I don't want to. But can I have some more stuff anyway? A few months ago, South Korea's Supreme Court upheld a 20-year prison term for former President Park Geun-hye over bribery and other crimes. In 2018, another former South Korean president, Lee Myung-bak, was sentenced to 15 years in prison, becoming the country's fourth ex-leader convicted of corruption back then. All these sentences are for crimes worth less than $20 million. So, if the Korean officials owe $8 billion, that should put them behind bars for 6,000 years each. I guess I know what the officials would say, though. Let me out and I'll just owe you that jail sentence. I seem to remember the Koreans used to be much nicer in the past.
대수님, 큰일 났습니다.
무슨 일이냐?
현토성에 잠입한 졸본의 별동대가 유민들을 빼돌려서 현토성을 공략하고 있습니다.
대체 졸본군이 현토성에 무슨 수로 잠입했단 말이냐?
알 수가 없습니다. 지금 현토성은 놈들이 기습 공격하는 터라 속절없이 당하고 있습니다. 이미 무기 창고까지 약탈당했습니다.
성공한 것입니까?
예, 무사히 유민들을 구해냈습니다. 지금 대장님이 유민들을 이끌고 현토성을 교란하고 계십니다.
왜들 이러는 것이냐? 좋아.
어떻게 망자를 이용해 음모를 꾸밀 작정을 할 수 있습니까?
더 두고 볼 것도 없습니다. 당장 처단해야 합니다.
목을 베어 부여해 보내십시오.
But South Korea has some powerful, equally illogical allies. You can guess who I'm thinking about. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken says if Tehran wants frozen assets released, the ball's in Iran's court. Let's go through that logic here. Iran sells oil to South Korea. The Koreans take the oil but don't want to pay for it. So now Iran needs to find a way to get the money? So the ball is in Iran's court? Or to put it another way, Seoul is basically saying to Iran, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. That's just so naughty. If American Secretary of State Blinken were a sports commentator, he would be something like this.
Lee Chung-yong, Yoonbit Garam, Yoonbit Garam still going, onto the left foot, oh, it's a fabulous goal! Yoonbit Garam has given Korea Republic the lead. Korea Republic lead at half-time, in extra time.
The US meddling in the Iran-Korea dispute is like two people arguing about a debt and then someone from another country coming in and agreeing with the person who owes the money just because they want to base their army in the guy's garden. One of the Koreans' creative solutions was giving vaccines instead of dollars to pay off their debts. With the money Iran wants from South Korea, Tehran could inoculate the whole planet about 3 times over. Yeah, it's high-tech, South Korea, but it's still stuck a few centuries in the past, frozen in a time when people used to just have a barter system. So I suppose they could offer to pay in chickens or rice, which would actually be more useful than 1 trillion doses of the COVID vaccine. Where does all this end? Will the Korean government stop giving money to the American troops for providing security to the country and pay off Washington with some other goods like, say, oil? Yes, why don't they just use the oil they got from Iran and pay America with it? Or better still, Iran could use something America really does need right now, like 1 trillion COVID vaccines. The most ironic part of this whole story is that the Koreans claim they're going to hold some of the money back to pay for bank keeping fees. I'm not making this up. So if you pay someone money and they refuse to pay you back, they could charge you money as a fee for keeping all the money they're looking after and not paying you back? What kind of storage system does Korea have for all this money anyway? Do they keep Iran's stash of cash in hotel rooms or parking lots?
대한민국에서 가장 많은 돈이 오가는 곳. 증권시장 하루 평균 거래대금 7조 원. 나는 주식 브로커다.
삼성전자 동명증권 영업이익 조율현입니다.
우리전자 이마주 시장가로 매매 지금 당장.
첫 거래 골인.
야, 이 새끼야, 내가 팔렸지 언제 살았어? 내 돈 어떻게 할 거냐고?
이런 거 못 참고 잘리고 싶어서 그래.
그게 그렇게 어렵냐?
지금 네가 받고 있는 수수료에서 1000배 정도 벌 수 있는 기회를 준다 그러면 난 뭐든지 할 수 있겠냐?
조율현 씨,
누구시죠?
저를 만나러 오신 거 아닙니까?
번호표라고 불린 사람이 하나 있거든? 이 바닥에서는 정말로 신화적인 존재라는 거. 다시는 이런 기회가 안 온다. 총 거래 금액은 7천억. 일회식은 50억 정도 들어가겠네.
But things are changing. The Korean media is now trying to change this grabbing culture among the younger generations using what you might call soft power by teaching them not to put other people's money in their own pockets.
What would you do if you see someone dropping something like these?
Well, today on the streets of Korea, we'll be dropping $5, $10, and $50 on the street. We'll be seeing if Koreans would be nice enough to pick these up for us or just run away with them. I hope they don't run away with them because this is our dinner money, but yeah, well, let's give it a try. All right, let's go. 아, 감사합니다. 아, 감사합니다.
처음에 영수증인 줄 알고 드리려고 했다가.
아, 제 거예요? 네. 아, 네. 감사합니다.
The money America, the United Kingdom and the rest of the world aren't paying belongs to the Iranian people in the first place. And it's meant to be spent on the nation's health, security, welfare and development. I guess if they're consistent, US Marshals will just start going into their own American schools and taking the pocket money from kids. And going into hospitals and emptying the wallets of the patients there when no one's looking. Actually, they kind of already do that second one, but they don't call it robbery, they call it US healthcare policy. Now it's time to reveal this week's good, bad and ugly. The good this week are a husband and wife team behind the leading vaccine to solve COVID-19. That's Dr. Sahin and his wife, Dr. Özlem Türeci. They've been the main contributors to a vaccine which is more than 90% effective. They promise to work on a vaccine for cancers in the near future. The couple are the good this week because, unlike many politicians, they don't talk about war or military actions, and instead their main concern is human life. They'd better be careful. If America, the UK and South Korea figure out their address, they'll ask for a cash loan, knowing this lovely couple are too polite to ask them to ever pay it back. The bad this week are all those countries guilty of what's been called vaccine nationalism, which is becoming a very messy argument in the European Union. I guess that's not so surprising if it were to happen in the United States, which has actually lost more people to the COVID-19 pandemic than it lost in World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, and the 9/11 attack all combined. But the problem in the European Union is even more weird, where it looks like those countries that didn't bother ordering vaccines in time are now trying to steal from those countries that did. Remember the kid at school who stole sandwiches from other kids because he ate his own lunch before lunchtime? Well, it looks like he's got a job in Brussels. And the ugly this week is a Saudi regime which still insists on blockading Yemen. The United Nations has warned that nearly 16 million Yemenis will face hunger this year, and the Saudi-led campaign seems to think the solution is to send aid to Yemen in the form of dropping bombs. What's that all about? If you even feel hungry in Saudi, be careful who you tell, because if anyone in the government hears you, they might give you a bomb instead of a burger. That's it for this week. Join me again next time to find out who's paying their debts, who's keeping their hands on other people's vaccines, and which nation of starving people Saudi Arabia intends to blow up next. That's all on Press TV with me, Lembit Öpik, right here on Cats and Dogs.